prosecuted for it. He was prosecuted in Denmark for telling the truth. This is the reality of Europe today and the future of the United States if we're not careful. Please welcome Lars Hedegaard.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, Pamela and Robert. It's a pleasure being here, and I'm amazed that so many people are still in the room, even though we've been sitting here for quite a few hours. Unfortunately, I see there are journalists around, and whenever I make a speech abroad, they usually write the opposite of what I've been saying. So I'll have to read my speech. It's not as exciting as it ought to be, but the best I can do. I call it Strategic Reflections on 9/11, 11 years on. On this 11th anniversary of the Muslim terror attack against the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, let us pause for a moment and reflect on the current strategic situation. I'm using the word strategic advisedly and in full recognition of its military implications, because those who planned 9/11 were eminently aware that the attack was yet another strike in the war between Islam and the rest of the world that has been going on for 1400 years, and we, the intended victims of Islam's war of aggression, had better wise up to this fact. Our leaders refused to do so, but we and our friends around the world should not follow leaders that are trying to lead us into the abyss. We have no right to follow such leaders. We owe it to our fellow men and to our children to go on the counter-offensive against the forces of darkness with all our might. A couple of years ago, I had the pleasure of dining with that eminent authority on Islamic history, Professor Bernard Lewis of Princeton. I asked him who he thought would win the 1400-year war between Islam and non-Islam. His answer was interesting. It is, he said, hard to win a war if you refuse to acknowledge that you are under attack. And that is precisely what our Western governments, our mainstream press, and our so-called academic experts, and sadly many church leaders have steadfastly